Hey everyone, you are listening to the Grace Auburn Church podcast. My name is Lee, the host of this podcast and one of the pastors here on staff at Grace Auburn Church. And today I'm joined by Samantha Anders. Sam, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
We are in a series on the podcast where we are asking, Lord, where are the people of this church involved in the community, whether as volunteers, on staff, in different ministries, different organizations in our area? And then how can we shine a light, so to speak, on what you're doing there, not only through those members that we're interviewing here on the podcast, but really through that ministry as a whole. And so today is no exception. We're going to be talking about the Exceptional Foundation. I think I said in an earlier conversation that there are times where what you do for a living and your passions, your vocation, so to speak, in terms of doing for a living and your giftings, when those things all line up. And when they do, they are an incredible gift. I know that I feel that way so much about what I get to do. I'm sure you can attest
Absolutely.
to the faithfulness of God in that as well. Before we get into what you do and what the Exceptional Foundation does, tell us a little bit of your story, your journey into Grace Auburn, about your family, and we'll start there and see how the Lord leads.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for having me, Lee. This is really exciting and really fun. Like you said, worlds colliding and just getting to share a little bit. But my husband and I, Joshua, we got married in December of 2019. And then, as y'all know, shortly after that, the world kind of shut down. And so really just seeking community. We actually got to come to Grace when you guys were meeting in the parking lot. And so that was kind of where our journey really began. And then as things kind of got back to whatever normal means, we were able to come and worship with y'all starting in March of 2022 is really kind of the date I could pinpoint for us, and then joined after that in August. And so really just out of seeking community and just desiring to dig into the Word and just be surrounded by men and women who can pour into not only our marriage, but just, you know, us as with individually as we walk with the Lord. And it's just been the biggest blessing. And we are so grateful for this church and for the members and the staff. And thanks for doing this. This is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have enjoyed watching you guys dive in here. Your service in community groups amongst people in so many ways. I could tell story after story of ways that I know your husband has deeply impacted younger men in groups, older men in groups, the way he just faithfully shows up consistently when he does. And so I know you've been a gift to so many. I know you're a gift to not only the members of this church, but also to the Exceptional Foundation. So tell us a little bit about the Exceptional Foundation, what it is that you guys do, and kind of give us an overview, so to speak, of what you guys are all about.
Absolutely. So the Exceptional Foundation of East Alabama seeks to serve adults with disabilities, whether that be intellectual, developmental. And so when individuals with disabilities turn 21, they graduate from the school system. And so all of these supports that they've had, IEPs, great teachers, speech, OT, PT, all these things, they just kind of go away. And, their day-to-day, this structure that they've had, this purpose of going to school, it just kind of goes. And so what we seek to do is step in and to provide purpose, community, and just learning for these people. And not only that, for their caretaker as well, whether that be mom, dad, their grandmother, and aunt, whoever that is, we just want to come alongside them and say, you're not alone. And we want to give your loved one a purpose and a place that they are loved and can just have fun and, like I said, just learn.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, that just goes away so suddenly. And I think that's something that unless you're in this sphere, you don't think about it. And that's what we kind of challenge people to do too in our community is, hey, think about it, and just bring attention to these people in a way that's honoring to them. And just kind of, includes them, which is really cool. Yeah.
That's good. All right. So tell us your journey into the Exceptional Foundation.
Sure.
How did you get involved? What do you currently do?
Yeah. So I was working at the time doing some contract work in special ed classrooms, and they posted on Instagram, and they just said, we're looking for a curriculum director. And so I reached out. My current boss, our executive director, Drew, was coming on staff at the time, and we met at a coffee shop, and she hired me, and it's just been a blessing ever since. Nice. So I started out doing curriculum for them, which was really fun. and exciting and just really hands-on with the participants and what, helping with their day-to-day, field trips, just all the things really. And that was such a blessing. And then as our programs have evolved, which we'll probably get into a little later, I'm assuming, but as that's evolved, my executive director said, "Hey, what do you think about doing director of promotions?" And I was like, well, I think I could be okay at that, but there's some things, and she just really put a lot of faith in me and said, I think you would be good at this. And I think that, there are some skills for you to learn here, but I think that you can learn them, and just really supported me stepping into a role that was out of my comfort zone, but something that's been such a blessing too. So that's been sweet to see.
I love that. All right. You mentioned programs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go there in a sense of I can get my head wrapped around helping with kids as they age out of the school system and the families and just the constant never needing to feel alone nature of that and the ministry that is to those families and to those individuals. Talk to us about the breadth of the programs. I know it may be difficult to do that briefly, but if you can kind of give us kind of the high points of some of the different things, some of those different programs that folks are involved with.
Yeah. So when I was brought on staff, we had one program, and we've now evolved into 3. Oh, wow. So, and back when this started in 2017, it was started by 4 mothers, and they are just incredible women that are still very much involved in our organization. But we started with about 30, and now we're serving about 90 individuals with disabilities. And so it's just grown so much, and so has the need for meeting them where they are. And so that's why we have 3 programs. So that's kind of the why behind that. But Be Exceptional is our program that is currently downtown Auburn. We're at AUMC.
Okay.
And so that program, those friends are really social. They love to do arts and crafts and go on field trips and do some functional learning through life skills. We have Bible studies that we do with them as well. But just a really fun, like I said, they're just our social group. They're just loving being together and having fun. And like I said, learning through those kind of functional life skills. And then Be Blessed is kind of a more post-secondary transition type program, if you will. We do life skills, social skills, and job skills by tying it to like monthly majors. Think of it as like, we'll do athletics, we'll do culinary, we'll do technology, we do all these agriculture, and so they learn kind of through tying it to that. So those friends, want a little bit more of a functional academic side. And then our third is the foundation, and this program serves our participants that may have more of a medical need. They may need more individual attention. They thrive in small group instruction, sensory type activities, and they love to go on field trips too. But small group instruction is really where they thrive. So that's kind of the differentiation between all 3. We've really kind of found this great way to serve a lot of different people through that structure. So that's been really cool to watch and see that evolve.
As we think about really this podcast serving to, like I said, either shine a spotlight or put a megaphone on what you're doing, or maybe for some of the members of our church or friends that they share this episode with, it could be the first time ever hearing about the Exceptional Foundation, especially if you don't know someone or have a family that has, or a family member with special needs or anything. If you're just not exposed to it, you're not in that world.
That's
you
right.
Don't know, right?
Yeah.
But someone's heart may be burdened for, oh man, I've got, I love that. I'd love to know more. What is a typical volunteer's role like with the Exceptional Foundation? Maybe hours per week, time frame. What are they doing? What could they do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the really beautiful thing is because we do have 3 different programs and we are trying to serve so many different people, to kind of put what a volunteer's experience is going to be in a box is going to be kind of hard.
Yeah, sure.
And so what we've really seen that's been so cool is for people to share kind of their gifts and talents with us by coming in and volunteering, whether that be leading an art activity like a painting activity, or we've got a lady that brings she's got a service dog, and just seeing her kind of come in and get to know our participants that way because, we both love this dog. And so that's what's been really cool is just to see people bring their gifts and talents to us. And obviously this church has such a broad range of members. So if anybody's got any cool talents or anything like that they'd love to share, we would love to chat with you about that. But it really just depends on the day. We do pottery. That's one of our really big things. And so sometimes it's just kind of helping with pottery and kind of helping oversee that. That's something that we do not only as a part of our programming and an activity, but also one of our kind of fundraising things too. We sell that pottery.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really cool. I can't totally put it in a box.
That's fair.
But it's different every day, and that's what's really fun about it. You never know what you're going to get, and that's exciting.
All right, if you were to, if someone were like, tell me a story, tell me about what is day to day like for you when you're there with participants, or a meaningful story that sticks out to you, something that can connect our people with a person or our people with a group. Is there something that jumps out, something that you can think of?
Yeah. So we had our second annual talent show back in early May, and what's really cool about that is just giving these people the opportunity to shine. And they have worked on these talents, for a few months, and with community sponsors, we had people kind of come in and work with them over time. And that was really cool to see those relationships form. But then after our show, we have a participant and his dad, and they've had a really past couple of years. And the staff and myself, we were just kind of going up to him. We're so proud of you. You did awesome. And, you wouldn't look at, this participant and think, oh, like he's going to thrive in a talent show. People are going to assume they can't. And we want to assume that they can, which is the whole heart behind this talent show. And so we're kind of walking up to him, and I look up and his dad has tears in his eyes. And I think, he just realized my son can, and I'm not alone in caring for him. Like, I think he just felt like, man, these people, and I hope he felt these people are coming alongside us. And that's really the thing that sticks in my brain that we want to, like I said, give to these participants, but we don't want to forget about their parents too, and so that's something that sticks in my mind, and something that I hope that, people will kind of just hear and think, oh yeah, like that's the biggest thing. We don't want to be alone.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a sweet story for sure. But there's so many I could share, but that's the one that sticks out the most.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you could go through dozens of those scenarios where you're like, oh man, God, I saw you do that there, and I saw you do that there. And the opportunity, it's not a question I approach you for. I was thinking just in that moment, you got to see Jesus interact with him in a way that he probably didn't expect.
Yeah.
And in some ways, he's carrying a little bit of fear on behalf of his son.
Yeah.
Who knows if his son is experiencing fear or just excitement at that point.
Yeah.
But in that moment, he receives grace from you guys. I'd love to know how, and maybe it's not overtly in terms of how you guys share the love of Jesus, but big picture, how do you see God move? Have you seen him move in your own life because of the Exceptional Foundation? How have you seen him moving among your staff, among the community as a whole? I don't know. I take that either at a macro or meta level or granular, however you want to go with it.
We may go more macro because, these people, they embody Christ so clearly in who they are. And, it is just, it's so humbling for me as a Christ follower. I feel like sometimes we can just get so in the weeds about things, whether that's life or things happening. But, I just get to go to work, and I never have left a day going into work and not seeing Christ more clearly through these people because of just who they are, the way that they love each other, the way that they just love me, the way they greet you, and they just are so excited to see you. And just in that, it's like, man, like I take so much from them and who they are, and just once again, how they interact with me and how I watch them interact with the staff and the way they love them. It really is just such a sweet thing. And so, I kind of went to the more macro level.
That's okay.
That's
good.
That would be the biggest way for sure.
I do love that. I have told Matt this before, that if I greeted everyone the way Noelle greets me, I holler May at her across the room, and she's like, Mr. Lee.
I love
just
her.
so sweet. And at some point, she will more than likely be part of the Exceptional Foundation.
That is my prayer, because,
I love it.
just her joy. And this is kind of a side story.
Okay.
I've told it to Matt. I don't think he'll mind me sharing this, but there was one day Josh and I were here worshiping, and Noelle was sitting behind me, and I could hear her singing.
Yeah.
And we're just crying, and it's just so there's such a purity to it, and it's just so great. But I went up to her after, and I said, hey, Noelle, how are you? And we were chatting, and I said, hey, I just want you to know I loved hearing you worship today. And she looked at me and she said, I know you did. And that is just the most fabulous, answer. I was like, yeah, you know I did.
You did.
And I just love it. I tell, I want to be Noelle Dean's best friend. Does she want to be mine? I don't know.
That's good.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Okay.
She's awesome. That was a sidetrack, but I felt like it was a worthy one.
Absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. Okay. This week, we're recording the first week of June. Not entirely sure when our communications guys, our ladies, are going to decide to drop this podcast.
Cool.
But we were blessed to partner with the Exceptional Foundation as a part of Grace Games. So I got to meet Dawn. You guys got to come and experience the chaos that was this week. If you're unfamiliar, this is our version of an in-house VBS where we really try to serve the families and members of this church with a 3-day deep dive into the Word of God, studying a specific scripture, learning in this year's case, learning all the books of the Bible. Thank you, Shai Lynn, and asking how can we sow these seeds deep in our kids' heart. But this year we decided we wanted to connect with you guys, and we'll kind of pick this apart a little bit as we move forward. We're contributing cleaning supplies to the Exceptional Foundation.
Yep.
Obviously, those will be gone very quickly, but that was in an effort to begin an ongoing partnership in handing this building off to you guys. If you are not aware, and I'm assuming that's public from on y'all's end, and we can say that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to have to edit this out.
No, it's good.
We are excited after, finding our own permanent home, having been in this building since the summer of 2019. Now, after 6 years, and it'll be a little over 6 years when we do move out, to hand this off to the Exceptional Foundation. It was a joy, and we were actually so excited the other day when you guys, after we did Grace Game stuff, and y'all were able to share a little bit of who you guys are and what you do, which I thought Dawn did incredibly well in terms of explaining how people with special needs just need help in different areas and different ways.
Yeah, no, that's really her gifting. Drew used to work at she was at
I said Dawn, I'm sorry, Drew.
No, you're good.
Okay,
you're good. Yeah. She used to work at Auburn Methodist, Opelika First Methodist.
Okay.
Ran preschool. And so when we were kind of coming to talk to kids, I was like, oh, you're going to be right at home. I mean, she was like, do you want to I was like, you got it. Like, this is all you, because that's one of her gifts.
Did she have like flashbacks of terror of VBS weeks, or was she excited to be here?
She really was so excited to be here. And I think just was like, so at home and loved everything y'all were doing. And that was really fun to just kind of see and hear some of her perspective, reminisce on her old position. We're glad she's with us. So we're very thankful.
Yeah, well, it did us such good afterwards as you guys were just kind of meandering the building a little bit.
Thanks for letting us do that.
To be excited about someone who's excited about what God has done here. This building's history prior to our occupying it was a gym.
Yeah,
and we've maxed it out. We've used it to its uttermost, and we're so excited for a long-term home for you guys as you consider, could this be a permanent space for us? And so we're excited for y'all. We're praying for you guys. I think it'd be helpful for people to know a part of that story of you guys going from multiple locations to one. What are you excited about in terms of 720 East Glen?
So many things. So many things, Lee. I mean, really just being able to pool our resources as a staff and just to be kind of united as one family, and I think it's so easy when we're all spread out and, to just forget that sometimes, and as our staff is bopping around and, I'm like, oh, I didn't get to see you today. You were over here. I was over here, just really being able to just be one family and, to just be able to pull our resources. And we just have so many wonderful people with so many different kind of streams of knowledge and expertise that they bring to the table. And so I'm really excited for us to all really be able to pool those together. Yeah. But also just logistically, like in one of our locations, it has been so incredible. It has served us so well. The only downfall, it doesn't have any windows. So when we walk in this room, we're like, wait, these people are going to have windows every day. They're going to be able to look outside, see creation, and enjoy sunlight, And it's just, it really is the little things like that that are so big. We're just excited. We're really grateful that this has come to fruition because there's been a lot of prayer involved. And where's the next jump for us? So,
well, we know that feeling full well saying, God, we want to do this, and we want to grow in this way, and we want to see more people know you in this way.
Yeah.
And it just feels like in y'all's case, y'all keep running into walls with no windows. We keep bumping our head against the wall as well, going, Lord, would you make a way where only you can make a way?
That's
and
right.
He's done that for you guys, and we're
Absolutely.
so excited to see this building continue on in faithful ministry beyond our church's gathering here. Do you have any other final thoughts on that? Any big picture things you want to share about the Exceptional Foundation before we maybe get into some nuts and bolts of how people can get involved in that sort of stuff? Anything?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing to just hear, and Drew touched on this yesterday actually when she was sharing for Grace Games, was like, these people are just like us, and
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing too, is just inclusion isn't hard.
Right.
It's just seeing someone else and just, inviting them. And like you said, if I greeted everyone like Noel Dean greeted me, the world would be better. And so I think that's just my kind of always encouragement to people that ask, like, what can I do? Or, whatever. It's like, just see these people and don't forget about them, because they are made in Christ's image just like we are. And that's the biggest thing. So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Specifically for folks who are like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah.
What is their, well, I guess we could talk everything from giving and purchasing pottery down to volunteering. Are there specific needs, or are there ways just kind of generally that you're inviting people in? What is someone's first step? If they're like,
So if you're kind of like, I want to be a hands-on, our website is equipped with different forms and things. Like if you're a business owner and you want to have us to your business for a field trip, there's a form for you there under community involvement. If you are like, I just want to come and I just want to help, there's a volunteer input form. You just fill that out and someone will be in touch with you that way. We do have multiple events throughout the year. Like I said, they're really fun, really sweet. One of those is our Tigers, Toddies, and Tailgates event. It is our main fundraiser. So if you're like, I want to come and support in that way, that's going to be on October 25th this year.
Okay.
And then we do Meg's Market, which is the pottery. That's really our big market for pottery. But throughout the year, we do different pop-ups and things. Our pottery is actually for sale online now. So if you need a gift for someone,
very cool.
That's a cool way. We're always adding new products, put some more things on there last week, actually. And then, our talent show, that'll be in the spring, but that's just a way to come, and just support these people, but really just prayer, as we kind of transition to this new space, as we navigate what that looks like. Transition isn't always easy for our friends. And so we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can. So just prayer too, is really big.
Yeah.
But that's really the biggest ways.
All right. Well, we will point everyone to the website via the show notes and give people very clear direction on how they can be involved with the Exceptional Foundation. Samantha, this is, I think in so many ways, the conversation is a gift. I know that the Exceptional Foundation, the work you and Drew and your team are doing is a gift to the participants, but in so many ways, such a gift to this community to be able to say, hey, we're here. We see you. We're with you. And we want you to come and see and know and be known. And so they truly are. I love that idea. These people are made in the image of Christ, just like we are.
That's right.
And so we want to see them as such.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Lee.
On behalf of the Grace Auburn Church family, thank you for listening to the Grace Auburn Church podcast. If you'd like more information about partnering with us and our mission or ways that you can get connected, please go to our website, graceauburn.church.